Hello, and welcome to the Limited Adhesion podcast. We've just had a wet and wild experience at Le Mans in our endurance championship in round 4, and lucky enough to have 3 drivers who excelled themselves in challenging conditions to join us today. First up, he's a former Club 1500 champion from QRS, and now making waves as a wizard. It's a very own speedy Swedish Smurf, Ture Malaren. How are you doing, Ture?
Hello, I'm good. Happy to be here once again.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully you've dried off from your win at Le Mans.
not yet really. No, the race suit's still wet out the back.
Good stuff. And next, when he's not leading a herd of camels through water, he had been leading the pack of Club 1500 drivers up until that championship closed, and now looking for glory in the GT3s as well as in other championships. It's James Pepper. How are you doing, James?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Chris. Good to be here again.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about your superb result at the weekend in just a moment. But last, but certainly by no means least, when not battling the llamas, he's a familiar voice as part of the commentary team. It's Steve Pepper. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm great, thanks, Chris. I'll keep my fans happy. It's fantastic to be here.
And shout out to all of Steve's fans. All right. So, Tur, your sim racing story. How did you find the LOA, and what got you into racing? Let's hear a little bit about that.
I started racing back during sort of COVID 2020 in the F1 games.
Oh yeah.
So I'm relatively new, if you can say that after 4 years, but one of the COVID people. But got kind of bored with the newer games. Started acting a bit weird, so wanted a new challenge. So got on iRacing and wanted to do some racing with people. So with Sam,
Oh yeah. Is that Sam
from the
Stott?
old, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, we found limited edition through the YouTube channel
Oh yeah. Perfect.
and joined in for a race in which I sucked. I don't think I've ever seen a person be that bad. Uh, and from there I just decided I need to get better. Can't this is not acceptable.
Well, I think it's safe to say you've definitely got better. I remember from our reel in our YouTube videos, there was the bowling ball incident. I think was it at
Yeah,
Monza.
oh yeah,
Is
yeah,
it?
yeah, Monza and yeah,
And I seem to recall an old incident in the GT3s. Was it Montreal as well that happened?
oh yes.
But I think you've moved on since then quite considerably. But yeah, definitely those are ones for your highlight reel
Well,
if you do it ever
there was
consider
Spa
retiring.
as well this season, so I'll still get back on my
Old habits.
old
Yeah,
sauce. Yeah,
yeah, but that's good stuff. On to Le Mans. How do you find the conditions out there? Obviously, you must have found it easier than some because judging by your pace, it was blindingly rapid.
it's great fun. I love iRacing's implementation of the rain, and I just decided I would do the race like 3 hours before. I was supposed to be up very early next morning, so I had barely done any practice apart from the Watkins 6 hours the weekend before,
Oh yeah, yeah,
which also happened to be wet. So I really savored that one.
yeah.
But I knew I would be competitive, as I find the rain to be extremely fun, uh, and I feel like I have the confidence to just push the car.
Yeah, that's always a good thing in the rain.
So it just ended up being a very good race for me.
Did you encounter any incidents or near misses in the wet?
I had one spin on my own
Yeah.
uh, into Mulsanne corner. I think it was because I went onto the dry tires in the middle of the race in the second stint.
Wow, that's brave.
Uh, I went way faster, but at the end there, it got very wet, and I had a little bit of a loop. Nothing big or
Yeah,
anything, but lost a few seconds.
yeah. Looking at the race, it was almost a two-horse race. Merrin seemed to have that. He was leading at least one lap. I can see from the stats, but yeah. Apart from that, you seem to have a race of your own there. But yeah, it looks like you really got to grip with the compete in the rain. And leading on to that, have you got any tips for the GTP drivers? And also, do you think you'll catch Merrin in the race for the title?
Oh, we're very close in the title.
Yeah,
It
very close.
differs like 11 points.
Yeah,
So it's still on for sure.
yeah.
Just like the old F3 season. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be close, definitely.
Well, I feel like most of it's just confidence, especially in the wet. You gotta trust the car that will stick to where you're going, and then you gotta find a line where like the water isn't standing and there's way more grip than you think.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
But and then just GTP overall is make sure to brake earlier and maybe even lift a little bit in the corner. Find a lot of pace by coasting.
okay. That's interesting. I'll need to give that a try next time.
Yeah, totally. Top tip.
Yeah, excellent. James, so first of all, tell us how you got into racing and the LOA.
Well, racing as a general, the first thing I remember as being racing linked was my dad had a go-kart, and it was always sat in the garage, and he said, one day I'll let you sit in it. That day didn't come because we left the house and we sold it. He sold the go-kart. So that was that. I ended up, I don't know when it was sometime before COVID. We had a Logitech wheel and pedals with the race seat.
Oh, yeah.
AC Challenge.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was dying to have a go at it, so I set it up because I was finally trying to reach the pedals. Set it up, put it to the Xbox, and then I just smelled burning. Me thinking, I'd be right, continued. Smelled a bit more burning. Yeah, it turned out the belt-driven wheel had enough. Luckily, it was just dust and it wasn't my terrible driving. But yeah, so that ended that. And that COVID time, start COVID, Dad got a PC. Started on a 55-inch TV, something like that.
Yeah, 55-inch.
Yeah.
Nice.
On a pretty big TV. And it sort of escalated from there, really. Of course, watching touring cars, British GT now, it's always been massive into motorsport as a family. And just time sort of takes, there's not enough time to do everything you want to do, and also fit in racing. If that makes any sense at all, it makes sense in the head, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of how that came about. The league came when me and Dad saw Dom Parker on Twitch, I think it was, or it might be YouTube. Saw the league through that. Steve, with Dad, he joined first. He was in the GT3s. Of course, we only had the single rig at that time.
Yeah.
That's now turned into my rig. So he was doing that, and I was doing the F3. I had a mixed first race. I've apologised for my mistakes to Dan Hill, where we met him last year or the year before.
Yeah.
So I've made up with that. So yeah, I think from F3 it went to GT3s, and then GT3s into the season after that was. And I've always kept in open with the league since I started. And yeah, the IR80's fairly quick, but it's just getting to grips with the car, I reckon.
Yeah.
The alternate tyres are definitely but in a way, iRacing's got the terminology wrong. It should be primary for the more grippy tyres, which are the alternates, and then the white wall tyres for the alternates. But
Yeah.
that's the way my head. gets round it.
You're not the only one who
So-
gets confused with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, first of all, well done on what's probably your best drive of the season so far, making up 14 places overall. It was almost the back of the grid. I think you started with the GT3s at Le Mans, wasn't it? So,
Yeah,
um,
I think there was only one person behind me.
yeah. So to do that in the rain is absolutely spectacular. But yeah, tell us about how your race went at Le Mans, and like what was the secret to making up so many positions? Was it just relying on everyone else spinning out? But judging by your pace, it seems to indicate you were probably about fifth or sixth fastest GT3 on track. So it seems like you've got some hidden talent in the rain, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was, because last season in year 4, the first race we did was at Suzuka in the rain towards the end of the season. The one major thing that came out of that was do not touch the white lines or any paint, as it will kill you instantly. So every time I've raced in the rain since, I've not touched a curb, I haven't touched any paint, or if I have, it's sort of as I'm moving across the track.
Yeah.
But mostly watching real life, you can pick up what they're doing differently from dry to wet sessions and wet to dry. And just from looking at the lines that pick up through either AI races, real life races, or just general open sessions on iRacing, I've sort of been able to find where the wet line should be, as it should. So iRacing's model seems to be that the wet line that should be in real life works. However, it dries where the AI and iRacing predicts the line to be in the dry, which is a bit confusing, but it works either way. But I generally tend to stay on the inside of the corner to take it as far out as possible without touching the exit curb.
Right, I see. And avoiding that dangerous white line, as you said, definitely.
Yeah. Coming from the back though, I think it was more so. Le Mans a big track and it's plenty of overtaking areas, but the chicanes, if you can get on the brakes on the right line, it's always a bonus, because you can push the car to its limit, and if you take the right line without getting on off track, you can cut the curb ever so slightly and pick up the grip on exit.
Yeah.
Which seems to really help. So a few dives, but they were all safe.
Yeah, and that shows you've got a bit of a understanding of the car, and certainly some bravery in the wet conditions. Do you think this is a turning point for your season, bearing in mind that you're probably about the fifth or sixth fastest GT3 overall on pace alone? So do you think this is going to set a standard of the remainder of your races this season?
I think it will do, to be fair. The start of the season at Imola, it was very crowded on a very small track. But as we've learnt lessons to how people have driven, you sort of understand how each other are going to defend, if they're going to defend at all, if they're going to be ultra attacking, or if they're just going to be safe drivers and you can get by and you can have a good fight. You know who you can do that with. And then GTPs, you only think about them when they're actually behind you. Otherwise, you couldn't care less. And then, yeah, I think it's good looking forwards to the rest of the season, because I had that double in the Ford at Watkins.
Yeah.
But then realised I made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Luckily, I hadn't scored any points whatsoever. And especially after the record 50x, which I'm most proud to say that I now hold the record.
Yeah, I did notice you went back to the Mercedes, so do you definitely find that more comfortable to drive in, I assume?
Yeah, it definitely suits my driving style far better. I think the lucky thing for me was I hadn't scored any points at all in the series, so it was a bit of an easier switch to go back. Easier for the admins, definitely.
Yeah, that's good. So moving on to Steve. Likewise, how did you get into racing and the LOA?
Ooh, being one of the older blokes and having a long history, I'll try and keep it short and sweet, really. My first racing experience was with my father. He used to hill climb a mallet at places like um, Harewood Hill Climb, places like that. And my thing was to try and get my pedal car. I had a silver and black pedal car, which was a Capri with a timing strut and everything. I could never get it through scrutineering. So at like 4 or 5 year old, that was my first sort of like trying to get into racing. But sort of like later on in life, I was able to start with computers and things like that, I'd started. I actually found an original account for iRacing, which was 13 years ago. He was
Yeah.
13 years old, so but I'd completely forgotten about that. But my first real sort of league or competitive racing was on Forza Motorsport 2 on the Xbox 360. And I just jumped
All right.
into a lobby. Yeah, I jumped into a lobby with about 6 or 7 lads. And it was like a different world. They were clean racers. I was able to talk with them and things like that. Because at that point, I'd never used a headset or things like that. So it was all brand new to me. Um, so I got quite friendly with them. We decided we were going to do a league. So we did the touring car league. So there was, because you can only have 8 drivers on the track at the same time at that point. We had 4 teams, 2 drivers, and we were split into different cars. So Hondas, Hyundai's, or whatever they were. The four cars that we were given, and we
Yeah.
took it from there. We took about nine months for us to complete the season that we had. But once we'd done that, everybody seemed to, because Forza 3 came out at that point, and we drifted apart. It was such a shame because we had such a tight little group of people that we had the cars and the tunes. I mean, I used to spend hours tuning the car. And so with that drifted off, and I drifted away from racing a little bit online. Um, and then later on, um, it was actually my dad, because James used to put the steering wheel up, and my dad would do the pedals for him. I actually got a nice little picture of my dad and James with him. He's actually wearing my karting crash helmet in the play seat challenge with my dad pressing the pedals for him on the Forza. So when he
Ah,
when he
no
was
way.
able to when he was able to reach the pedals himself, um, my dad just turned around and said, "Well, all these people with rigs and things. So why don't you build your own?" So the guy across the road had a pine bed he was just throwing away. So I said to him, I said, "Can I have it? I've got an idea for it." He said, "Yeah, take it. Fine, not a problem." So I bought myself a car seat, which was about 10, £15 off Facebook Marketplace. Built the rig in the back
Oh yeah.
garden, attached the seat, and brought it through the back doors and put it in the back room. And that's what James said about the TV. At that point, I'd bought myself. I had it was a Thrustmaster Ferrari Italia 488 TX or whatever it was, and I had
Right.
some Logitech pedals with a little connector that went into it because they were a lot better. They were like a load cell pedal.
Right.
So
See.
I
Yeah.
started using that. So we'd started to race. James was using it mainly for Forza, but then I decided I'd buy myself a PC and would do this online thing again. And it was only because I'd started watching a few YouTube channels, Dave Cam, Don Parker, those sort of people. That it was maybe what, 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. So I was only sort of like getting into it and finding out what other people were doing at that particular time. So then I decided I'd do an iRacing account, and obviously James would want one then as well. So I had both of his accounts, um, and through Dom I saw the league for the limited evasion. So I just said, well, join the Discord, join the league, but because we only had the one rig, I was doing the GT3s one week, and James was doing the F3s the second week, and we sort of like went on from there. And it was only when James, through luck of whatever he did, was given the rig, was donated the rig by Dave Camp. He entered a competition, and James was awarded a RS a rock solid rig, the
All right,
RSR
yeah.
21. He won that. So if anybody watches Dave Cam's old videos where he's in an old wooden rig, that's what we've got. So that
Wow,
enables that took us from a single rig to a double rig. So then we were able to compete on the same track, which was nice.
yeah, perfect. That's
So
a nice bit of luck there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we've sort of like we've gone on from there. We've done the endurance series. We've done all the as many of the LOA races that we could get into. I don't think we missed many, just because purely we love racing. We've done a
Yeah.
couple of Daytona 24s, done two majors 24s. We did major 24 in 2023 with Wizards. We were a Wizards car then, and we came third. There was me, Mark Innes, James, Francesco, I
Was
think
it
was
Jake?
in there.
Have you done it with Jake Weaver as well at one point?
Jake has been with us. Yeah, we did. We had Jake with us
Jason
this
as
year.
well. Yeah.
Jake, yeah, there was five or six of us did it this year. There was two father and son pairings. There were Jake and Jason, then me and James, and Mark Innes as well.
Nice.
And Rich Meisters. So
Yeah, I can't forget Rich. Yeah, totally.
that's it. Yeah. So we've done all those sort of things, and then about 8 months into us actually racing, we bumped into Ian and Lynn, who run the Cool Camel, and it's all about pictures and things like that, and artwork, canvas artwork, and we bumped into them at one of the races at Alton Park, somewhere like that, and we just got talking about general bits and bats, and I asked them for if they could do a picture, and they'd never heard of sim racing, never had done a picture of sim racing, anything like that. And I sent them a picture of me and James on the Raw before the 24 because it's the first time we'd been on track together,
Yeah.
and the picture came back. I was super pleased with it, and I put their logo on the car, and from that we were contacted by him. We saw him again a couple of races, and we now have the title sponsorship of the Cool Camel, and that's where it comes from.
It's really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and definitely it's a nice partnership to have and have that association. And likewise, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. I think the LOA members, they have a special discount with the Cool Camel.
yeah, they do.
So you can tell a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a 10% discount for all LOA members, and it's on bespoke canvas prints. So if any members want to send a good quality like 4K image to Ian or using the information that's on the website and whatever. I think it's it's www.info@thecoolcamel.com, I think it is. But it's all over the cars and things like that is the information, and
Yeah,
I think I've put it in different bits and bats. And you can get it on website if you search through Google or Facebook. It comes up there as well. But all they need is a really good quality image, and then they can transfer it onto a canvas for you.
ideal.
But yeah, it's brilliant. It's a really good thing, and it's nice that they've been able to give us that discount for LOA members as well.
Yeah, perfect, and a good way to kind of cherish and remember any good results that you get as well. And
Oh
talking
yeah,
about good results, you've had a bit of a mixed bag results wise this season. I'm sure you don't mind me saying, but surely you've got to pleased with that drive at Le Mans. You can be
hugely.
proud of that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
and
take us a bit
I've got
through your race.
yeah. I think first of all, I just wanted to thank the admins for allowing me to go from the Corvette back to the Ferrari because I drove it. I made a mistake, same as James. I got hoodwinked into thinking that the Corvette was I liked it. I drove it. I liked it, but after I'd driven it a while, I realised that the Ferrari suits my form of driving. I'm used to the Ferrari. I've always had the Ferrari. So, hats off to them. I lost a point, which I'm gutted about because I would have won 9. I'd won 8 points now. But yeah, it was one of those things. I couldn't drive the car, and I was a menace to people on the track. I think it's got a lot of there'll be maybe tweaks and things like that iRacing do with the Ford and the Corvette, and eventually they will settle down. But I couldn't get to grips with it. But yeah, so I'd started off at Imola. I was having a good battle. Had a couple of incidents. I think at one point I was up to 8th place because James took half the field out on the first couple of corners. So I did really well in that one. If they could have stopped the race then, I'd have scored some decent points. But yeah, and then it sort of like tailed away a little bit. I had a few incidents. I think Watkins, I ended up not finishing because I had another incident which I think towards the end I had about 10-15 minutes repairs. So I was never going to get back on track. So then to come to Le Mans, especially in the wet, was like a complete nightmare. I've never really driven. I've driven a little bit in the rain at Watkins 6 hours, but with the PC crashing and things like that, I didn't really get on board with it at all. So I just thought, as long as I can keep it safe and I can keep it pointing in a straight line, I'll be quite happy. And anything I pick up from there is a bonus.
I'll tell you a bonus, Steve. From the stats, you were the fastest Ferrari, or you were the first Ferrari out of 7 in that race. So you certainly, like you were saying, you connected with the Ferrari. The stats go to show that as well. So yeah, well done on that.
Was that the fastest or the first to cross the line for the finish?
Yeah, well, I think it was a bit. It was definitely the first to cross the line out of 7 Ferraris. So, there was a whole tail of Ferraris right behind you as well,
Well, there was
including Paolo
well,
and Ben Chalcraft as well.
yeah, there was a tale about Paolo because he was actually on the last lap coming into the Ford chicanes. He was in front of me, and when we left the
I
Ford
witnessed
chicanes,
that. Yeah.
when we left the Ford chicanes, I was actually in front of him, and we both hit the same puddle, spun at the same time. But I think I must have been going slightly slower than Paolo was, and I managed to hold it as I came through across. And the only thing was that there's not a lot of time between the end of the Ford chicanes and the start finish line to get rid of a slowdown, and I struggled and struggled and struggled to get rid of the bloody thing.
Yeah, and I was actually behind you guys, and I didn't have much to kind of gain, so I just stuck back, and then I watched it all happen live in action. I thought, what is going on here? It's the final lap, and they're
Yeah,
both
yeah, it was
doing the
just
same
puddle,
thing.
that puddle just at the side, on the right hand side, as you line up to go across the first part of the chicane, just where the pit lane starts. I just nipped that. I saw Paolo do it, and I did it myself. So,
Yeah.
but apart from that, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Next race is at Interlagos. Do you think the camels will reign supreme over the llamas?
Well, Clayton put a bit of a big target on his back, really, didn't he? When he on the first race when he announced that he was llamas versus camels. So it's funny because the first people or the first result we all look for, whether it be grey, green, or blue camels, it's have we beaten Clayton? So
Yeah,
we'll
he's
see.
going to have
We'll
that.
see what happens.
Yeah, ideal. Right. So we'll just ask a couple of questions to all of you. It was our first championship race in the league with full wet conditions in multi-class. I guess we can say. So how did you guys find it overall? Especially like given the first race where everyone was getting used to each other's driving styles, it was a bit chaotic. But at least for me, I felt it was actually quite organized. And it was probably the track to do it on, where there's more chance of not coming into contact with people. But what were your thoughts, guys?
I for sure thought it was really clean. GT3s and GTPs seem to be respectful of each other's lines, and the rain meant people took extra precaution anyways. Seemed to be just a very respectful race overall.
Yeah,
for sure.
How about you, James? How did you feel? Because obviously you would have to deal with the GTPs passing you at some point.
Yeah, it was actually really well organised. The rain, I don't think it came into play too much with the mixed class, actually. The only difference it really made, to me especially, was visibility. You'd get a GTP, because it brings up so much spray, and the rooster tail's so much bigger for some reason with the GTPs. It just blinds you.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's also the slipstream. On a dry track, you seem to get a nice slipstream from behind a GTP. They'd overtake you, and you could just nick in for half a second to get a bit of a slipstream at least. But in the rain, it didn't seem to do that. Otherwise, yeah, it was actually quite fun to do.
Yeah. How did you feel it went, Steve? It was fairly relaxed affair compared to other races.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people's eyes would have been on stalks when the rain came out, especially with the slightly damp track at the night stage. But overall, yeah, very impressed. The fact that people were able to keep it on track so well. I mean, I know there was a few incidents and accidents, but you'd expect that anyway. But I think I'd agree as well that the fact that it was done at Le Mans, the track's super wide. There's loads of places to pass. The GT it's designed for endurance racing and multi-class racing. So yeah, it didn't surprise me that we were able to keep away from each other, and it was nice to see the cooperation between the GT3s and the GTPs for the way they were passing. The fact that the GTPs were waiting. And not just dive bombing down corners, they were waiting until they get a long straight or something like that because they knew they had the options and the opportunities to do that. So yeah, it was overall it was a fantastic race. There you go, fellas. You have another drink. And it did. Everybody did really well. There was a lot of respect, a lot of patience, and it just proved that the two classes can exist on the same track together.
Yeah, perfect. Right, final question to you guys. So we've still got another 6 races in the calendar. So we've got Interlagos coming up next. We've got Fuji, Sebring, Road Atlanta, which is good. I think that'll be a very interesting affair with the speed differences in the cars. We've got Daytona, and then we've got Portimao. Do you have any track that you're looking forward to for the remainder of the endurance season?
Is nobody going to speak? I thought nobody would speak then.
It's a great season. The calendar just seems amazing.
Yeah, it's been well thought out of some tracks in there that people definitely know off by heart. But there's some interesting ones. Fuji's going to be an interesting one, I think. Road Atlanta, I'm not so keen on, but we'll see how that goes. I think that might be a little bit chaotic, but you never know. People have kind of learned
tight,
each other's driving styles by then. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, but let's see what happens. We can always be surprised. How about you, James? Is there any track you're looking forward to?
Yeah. Did you say Daytona was on the list?
It is indeed. Yeah, 10th of November.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to Daytona because it's just one of my. It's a track that I did the Daytona 24, and I've just seemed to click with it ever since. Road Atlanta was my best result in the GT3 series a few seasons ago.
Right.
That race, it was close to my first win, but it wasn't quite there. I think I got pipped by Mark Zeff.
Oh,
so that's another class race.
Yeah.
That I'm looking forward to. But the one that's probably it's probably let down a bit because people talk down to Fuji. But I really like the circuit. When you get it right, it's so rewarding, and it's just amazing to drive. So it flows really, really well. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, ideal. Yeah. Right, we'll wrap things up. Thanks very much for your time, guys, because it's been great to have you on, and congratulations on your superb drives at Le Mans at the weekend. It was really great to see. So if you want to say goodbye, and we'll hopefully see you on track soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for your kind words.
Thanks a lot.
Great to be here.
Take care.
All right,
everybody.
we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.